It's vast, and it's got lots of stars, but we know what's going on. Now, it's basically filled with. That's why the images you get back. I mean, there's so many images of space. Each one is gorgeous. These huge clouds of raw elements and clouds of plasma. Oh, that's the other thing. I guess if we're going to talk for another 10, the major theory, which I think does actually explain a lot of these anomalies to some degree, and probably would explain a lot more if conventional science actually got into it and put some money behind it, is something called the electric universe theory. And I'm sure a lot of people say it's woo and it's a heresy and all that, blah blah blah. But a lot of what they say about a lot of things, like comets in particular, just as a practical example, make a lot of sense. And I have noticed as soon as I started to get into observing, digging into it, digging into the press releases, the new observations, read up on Wikipedia, read whatever you can find about stuff, even reading some old astronomy books, I found anomalies. You know what I mean? One of my particular abilities, I don't know if it's a talent, more of a skill really, just developed over the years, is I can absorb I just absorb a ton of information without really, thinking about it too much of the time. I just let my mind absorb it all, and I notice things. I notice the gaps, and the patterns and whatnot. And I noticed that the electric universe guys have at least one major point that is completely true, is that plasma, the word plasma, as in you've observed, million degree gas or billion degree gas in space that has all these features and various things are going on with it. It's plasma. I mean, it is plasma by the definitions of science. It's not a gas anymore. It has been, stripped into ions and it's functioning in certain ways. It is plasma. No doubt about it. But I know, and I started noticing that all of the, official scientific press releases and, various things really don't like to use that word. I mean, they do occasionally, and they've been doing a little more lately, but a lot of cases, they're always referring it to as gas, and it's not gas. I mean, plasma is an accepted state of matter. It has certain characteristics and so on, which is partially why I've come to accept. I mean, a lot of what the electric universe guys have predicted as well. They actually make predictions. That's another big thing. Proper science makes predictions. You make predictions, and things either come out, like back when they were doing the periodic table. They were like, okay, well, there's certain patterns here. I predict that, the next element we're going to find is going to be this, and it's going to be these things. And it was. That's good science. You're on the right track. And, scientists still do that in a lot of ways, and that's cool. They don't in astronomy anymore because, but the electric universe guys have. They predicted a bunch of things about how, what would be observed when they did certain things with comets, with the Deep Impact Project. They were proven right many times. They predicted that they would find these giant currents flowing from the sun to, the poles of the Earth and various other things like that. They found that. They even have, if you just go on the web, they have a whole series of pages that list their predictions, and when they predicted it, you can go look at the original link, and what was actually found, which is usually pretty much in line with their stuff. Regular conventional astronomy science at this point does not make predictions at all, because most of their models, their theories, are at this point destroyed. I mean, they're just completely lying in ruins. Which is why, again, I find their press releases are just bizarre. Like, some of them literally have circular logic written right into them. Like, one effectively translated to, this thing it had to happen due to gravity, but we now, re-examined it in light of what we've observed, and it was gravity, and gravity. It was like, it just sort of like, it was bizarre. It literally, I can't even, pronounce it verbatim because it was nonsensical. I was like, what, this is, what? So they have a point. Like, a lot of things, I actually think, I'll just venture a prediction of my own. I actually sort of have sometimes my mind presents me with sort of a large-scale picture, just, again, from devouring huge amounts of data. It'll go, oh, hey, look, large picture. And I'll be like, okay, what's this? And I actually think, they always, again, the conventional picture of the way things work with, say, entropy and the universe and on a large scale and how things are going cosmologically is things start, things happen, things burn out. The sun's going to burn out. Everything's just going to go dead. I don't think so. No, it's more like the repeating worlds thing, and I don't necessarily mean like a big bang and a big crunch. Well, if the electric universe guys and other related theorists are correct, then I actually get this. This is how stars form. Stars don't just neutrally. There's these clouds of gas and they collapse and they form suns. That makes sense if you're just looking at one thing in isolation. What happens is you have these vast charged clouds of energy and matter and power, plasma, and they interact. Well, the thing that I kind of came to a realization about was the fact that the scale of things has sort of an effect on its own. It's a bit like what people have been thinking, like how certain fundamental forces may be different in certain places of the universe. I guess I'm sort of getting along that point. What I mean is, if you have a phenomenon that goes from, one side of the universe all the way to literally the other side of the entire universe, there are certain things that can come into being just because that thing is so large. It has, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that the forces at each point are different. Gravity might be describable by the same equation at any point. But the fact that this is here, and this is here, and these 2 points are like 18 quadrillion, megaparsecs or whatever term apart, but connected, causes a certain effect. Energy might ripple from here all the way to here, and it might take 17 quadrillion years. And the fact that it is doing that over that amount of time and that amount of space has other effects. It's kind of like the in between the lines. It's like you have, yes, an equation that means this, but there are other things just because of the time and space involved. My point being, I kind of think it works like this now, is that everything works according to, well, again, I thought of this one a long time ago. Conventional science always talks about entropy, and it always talks about here's things, everything has to degrade and lose energy and fall away. But if you actually look at the universe, that's true if you look at things a certain way, but it's also true in the exact opposite way. That things evolve, energy gets bound up in more complex ways, and you get new creation, I guess. I mean, it's all out of the same thing, but things don't just, collapse and become simpler. I mean, if they did, then we wouldn't have, Earth wouldn't exist, nothing interesting on Earth wouldn't exist. Everything would just be a big undifferentiated plasma cloud. I think it's more like, you got all elements. Things start as this big, huge blam. You got all these different plasma clouds. They twist and collapse into these energy ropes, which form, huge amounts of stars or gigantic stars or, objects anyway. Those mutate and change over time and, maybe explode, maybe send out maybe small versions of themselves, or who knows. Just basically things are evolving and changing and rippling and warping and just crazy evolution and change and growth and, creation. So it's not like this static picture where the sun just do. Sun might split in half at a certain point. It might receive, according to the electric universe guys, there are galactic circuits, which, I don't know, they have some pretty good, theories and evidence for that. At a certain point, again, that's a woo-woo possibility about the 2012 thing. Maybe the sun will receive a current charge or a pulse or something along some galactic current. I've had some weird ideas where if something like that happens, and I had the image of, actually, well, all right, we'll go into another 10 minutes. This is kind of fun. That's my version of things. Maybe I'll be proven right. I mean, if this is on the web and I've predicted it, that's, kind of an interesting point after the fact. I had this thought. What if it works like this? Instead of everything starting as this primordial cloud, and, well, maybe there is some primordial clouds, but what I mean is, instead of the sun and all the planets and everything all starting as a primordial cloud, and part of it forms in the sun, part of it forms in